So I'm talking about in fact, all of these videos so far are about what happened in my life on September 19th of 1999 that caused me to change the way I did my life. And what was my life like? It was painful. It was a life of domestic violence. I was getting beat up on a regular basis by a man who claimed to love me. I wasn't allowed to see my children. I have been isolated from my people, and it was just, and this was a abusive relationship in a long line of abusive relationships. And I was done. I was done living that way. So this particular day, I turned on my television and I found Mary Mannon Morrissey doing her Building Your Dreams seminar, and my life has never been the same. So this video is going, so I'm doing these videos, each covering one facet or one aspect of the many, many, many things that I learned from her that day that I wound up applying in my own life to change that domestic violence dynamic from the inside out. Because it is my belief that one of the most powerful ways and possibly even the only way to change the cycle of abuse, to end the cycle of abuse, to change the domestic violence dynamic, it is from the victim side, from within the relationship. I really, really believe that. So here is one more thing, and I'm making these videos brief, which for me is an accomplishment. Um, so this shouldn't take long, and this is what my first book is called Choose Your Universe, and it is that title comes from what I'm going to talk about in this video. So one of the things that Mary said in that program was she talked about a quote from Albert Einstein. And he said, I still find this so powerful. He said, the most important question we could ever ask ourselves is this: is the universe friendly? And his point was, we get to choose. We get to choose how we look at the universe. If I choose to see a friendly universe, then I will experience a friendly universe. If I choose to see a hostile universe, then I'm going to experience a hostile universe. So whichever one I choose, and the choice is not, if you want it to change, it has to be conscious. So if I'm unconsciously choosing to see a hostile universe more consistently than choosing to see a friendly universe, then I'm going to experience a hostile universe on a regular basis. It's going to seem, and I used to, the person that I was before that day, I can remember living from probably my maybe 14 years old till 34 years old, the day that I found Mary on TV. I used to say over and over and over again, my life hates me. I said that out loud on a regular basis, and I would be willing to bet that people who knew me then will remember me saying it. My life hates me. I hate my life. I hate myself because my life hates me. Nothing ever works out for me. It's all horrible and awful. Blah, blah, blah. Poor, poor, pitiful me. My life hates me and it's miserable, and so when when she said that, I recognized that in myself, that I say all the time, maybe not in those words because I had never heard the concept before, but I'm basically saying all the time that I live in a hostile universe, that the universe is against me. God hates me. Um, if you'll remember from previous videos that I worked really hard at not believing in God, because it was easier to not believe than it was to actively hate, which is what I did the rest of the time. To actively hate God. I hated God. I didn't want anything to do with that old man up in the sky who had created me, but was judging me for being the puny human that I wasn't supposed to be, even though he supposedly created me that way. I had a very hard time with that. And I hated that God. That was not a friendly God to me. So that was how I viewed my life. That was my perception of the way my life was. The universe hates me, God hates me, my life hates me, and I hate myself. So hearing the quote, the most important question we could ever ask ourselves is this: is the universe friendly? And that was when I had my second aha ever that day. And both the two most powerful ahas I've ever had happened during that program. Okay. So the second one was the more powerful of the two, and that was this: you mean I get to choose? You mean I get to choose what I think about things? You mean I get to choose what I think about this? You mean I get to choose what I think about myself? You mean I get to choose what I think about him? And the answer is yes. I always get to choose. I always get to choose. And so I decided to start doing the work of deliberately looking for a friendly universe, even in the midst of the hell that I felt like I was living in. And I'll tell you what, when I started looking for it, I started finding it. Even when I looked at him, even when I looked at him and how he was treating me, because I started choosing, instead of fear and hate and bitterness, when I looked at him, I started choosing compassion and acceptance, even though it was hard. And I did it in a question format. If I knew that I lived in a friendly universe, what would I be seeing right now? If I knew that I lived in a friendly universe, what would I be seeing right now in the midst of this circumstance? Because the circumstance doesn't care what I think about it or how I feel about it. It just is. Circumstances are neutral. You will hear me say that over and over again. Circumstances are neutral. Take the word apart. Circumstance means that which stands around me. It doesn't get any more neutral than that. Even in a relationship is still just a circumstance, and I get to look at it and feel about it however I choose. I don't have to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred and anger and frustration and discouragement. I don't have to feel that stuff. And I don't have to look at the other person in the relationship and judge them based on what I see, because I can't know what's going on inside of them. The man that I was with at the time, he had an even more painful childhood than mine. Mine was painful. His was, it was bad. It was bad. And he learned things about himself that no child should ever be taught about themselves. And by the time that relationship ended 9 months later, I had such compassion for him. And the reason I was able to have compassion instead of resentment and bitterness was because I chose to start looking at him differently, even in the midst of his really ugly, painful treatment of me, because I got to choose. So if I know that I'm living in a friendly universe, if I know that my universe is friendly, what do I see when I look at him? That was a huge question. That was a huge question, because what I wound up seeing, even I remember the very first time I asked myself that when I was looking at him. If I knew I was living in a friendly universe, What would I see when I look at him? And what I saw the very first time I asked myself that question was a person in an amazing amount of pain who didn't know how to express it in a healthy way. That's all. That's all. That was in 1999. He died in 2011, a violent, angry death, without ever having found out that he could do his life a different way. And that makes me sad for him. So, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. It is what it is, and it's all perfect. And I wasn't planning on going there. I wasn't planning on going there in this video, but I did, and now it is what it is. And it's all part of a friendly universe. So, you know, I recommend it. It was one of the most powerful and empowering things I've ever done. Empowering seems like a damn buzzword to me nowadays. But oh well, you know, there isn't really a better one, so I'm going to keep using it. It was empowering. It was personally empowering for a young woman who had never ever felt empowered in her life. So, what kind of universe are you choosing? Just apply this to yourself, to your own life, whether you're in an abusive relationship or not. I can't say that enough, because not everybody watching these videos is experiencing a domestic violence life. But wherever you happen to be struggling in your life, if you could know that this circumstance is neutral and it doesn't give a rat's ass what I think about it or how I feel about it, it just is. If you knew in that place and time that you could actually be choosing your perception of it, what would you choose to see? Ask yourself the question: if I knew that I was living in a friendly universe, if I knew that my universe loved me, what would I be seeing when I look at this? And then be willing to see it. Be willing to see the friendly stuff. Because the second you decide to be willing to see the friendly stuff, you'll start seeing it and you'll start experiencing your universe that way. So pay attention to where you're habitually looking for hostility from the world around you or the universe or God or, you know, however you want to look at it. Pay attention to when you're doing that out of habit and make a deliberate choice to look for the friendly in the same circumstance, because the circumstance doesn't care. How you experience the circumstance is completely up to you. And I encourage you to choose the friendly. Choose the friendly. And if you want to hear more about this, you can always buy my book, Choose Your Universe. It's available on my website. It's called Choose Your Universe, and it talks about this particular subject in a really, I like it. It's a good book. It's not very big. It's not very long. It's an easy read, and it gives a good explanation of this stuff. So what are you choosing? The choice is yours. And so I'm going to choose to end this video now. Have a good day. Much love to you.